So I was one of those Peterson fanboys for a long time. I was enamored by Peterson's sharp intellect and rhetoric. However, as I have started to think more than just passively being impressed by Peterson, I think I have in many ways outgrown Peterson. I still admire him, but I am no longer his fanboy. I think a lot of young Muslims like me think in a similar way. So, in this video, I will be giving 2 points of contention and 2 points of agreement that I as a Muslim have with Peterson. My first contention is the repeated use of the term Judeo-Christian tradition by Peterson. This term is stated deliberately to exclude Muslims and Islam from other iterations of the Abrahamic story. Peterson, for some reason, fails to notice that Islam is more similar to Christianity than Judaism, and it is more similar to Judaism than Christianity. Moreover, the term Judeo-Christian tradition and its use is actually a modern phenomenon. Let us look at Google Ngram to check the historical use of this term. As you can see, the use of this term became popular only after World War II, when the excesses of Christian anti-Semitism culminated in the Holocaust. In other words, it took the blood of 6 million Jews for Christendom to realize that they had screwed up. It is well known that the relationship between Christianity and Judaism has been extremely stressed historically. People who contest this fact should read The Merchant of Venice.
He hath disgraced me, scorned my nation, and what's his reason? I am a Jew, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is. If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh?
Only in 1965 did the Catholic Church officially repudiate the idea of collective guilt of the Jewish people for the alleged death of Jesus Christ, may peace be upon him and his blessed mother. My second contention is pertaining to the following clip.
Problem number 2 for me, and again this may be a consequence of my ignorance which I'm trying to rectify, Muhammad was a warlord. And I don't know what to do about that fact. And so I don't know how to reconcile that.
When we hear the word warlord, we think of the likes of Genghis Khan or Khal Drogo. But is it really the case that the Prophet of Islam was a warlord? According to Maulana Wahiduddin Khan, during the 23 years of Prophet's ministry, 80 military expeditions took place. However, fewer than 20 expeditions actually involved any fighting. 259 Muslims and 759 non-Muslims died in these battles. That makes a total of 1,018 dead people. In comparison to warlords, is this figure really that large? Now consider what the Jews and Christians believe Israelites were sanctioned by God to do. Allegedly, God of the Old Testament, which for the Christian is the same as Christ, commands the Jews that if a city that God has given to them as inheritance is averse to the Israelites, then they should quote, "Thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth." Hence, in the Battle of Jericho, the Jews utterly destroyed all that was in the city, both men and women, old and young, and even animals, all by the edge of the sword. Other dishonorable mentions can be seen on the screen. By contrast, the guidelines given by the Prophet on war can be seen on the screen. The greatest victory of the Prophet was when he conquered back the homeland he was driven away from, that is the city of Makkah, the same city in which his followers were persecuted and brutalized, the same people who killed the followers of the Prophet, the same people who mutilated the body of Prophet's beloved uncle were on that day simply pardoned. The Prophet did not conquer with fire and blood. The Prophet was not a warlord. To end the video on a good note, let me state 2 points of agreement with Peterson. The first agreement seems to be hidden in a question that Peterson once asked.
To me, it seems to have a deep rooting in the idea of the intrinsic value of each person's capacity for speech and creative production. Mm-hmm. I think that's a deeply Judeo-Christian idea. I don't know if there is an Islamic equivalent.
I think, first of all, just by telling only one side of the story of is making a lot of people in the West feel guilty and that they feel that they have to atone for.
Clearly, Ayan is not answering Peterson's question. I think that it is probably because she lacks a deep understanding of Islam, contrary to what some of her fans might think. Since this video is about Peterson, let me focus on Peterson's question. He asked whether in Islam a person's capacity for speech and creative production was considered to be as important as it is considered by the Christians and the Jews. According to Christianity and Judaism, God's intention and articulation, that is, logos, created the world. Peterson is asking whether there is an equivalent to the idea of logos in Islam. In postmodern terminology, Peterson is asking whether Islam is logocentric. The answer, of course, is that Islam is indeed logocentric. In Islam, to describe the creation of the world, Quran uses the phrase kun fayakun, which means that God said be, and that which is came to be. It became. This indeed parallels the idea of logos in Christianity and Judaism. Moreover, logocentrism in Islam is actually very relevant to the ethical life of a Muslim as well. Peterson at some other place talks about the importance of an individual to embody the logos, that is, to embody the principle of divine reason and creative order. This is indeed what a Muslim is supposed to do as well. The Prophet said, "Takhallaqu bi akhlaq Allah," which means, create within yourself the character of God. Since in Islam we affirm the creative power of divine word, we also affirm the power of human speech and reason. And so, embodying the logos is something that a Muslim is supposed to do. I'm sure that this is a great point of overlap between what Peterson calls Judeo-Christian tradition and Islam. The second point of agreement with Peterson is related to certain aspects of his politics and certain self-help advice that he gives. In particular, there is quite a bit of similarity between the thought of Hamza Yusuf and Jordan Peterson on such matters. This has been covered fairly well by other people in some videos. The links for these videos have been provided in the description. In fact, today is the day when Hamza Yusuf and Jordan Peterson are supposed to have a podcast together. I'm extremely excited for this, and I hope that this interaction between two people whom I greatly admire is fruitful.
So what I'm hoping is that there's a bridge. There better be a bridge. And that's why I want to have these discussions, because I'd like to understand if there's a bridge. And so lots of people have sent me people who I should talk to, who they think represent Islam far better than I and Hamza Ali. And perhaps they're correct, and hopefully I'll get an opportunity to talk to them, because I would like to know why. I would like to know if what I think is wrong.